Hi YouTube! Welcome to day 19 of my birthday countdown vlog. 21 more days until I turn 40. So let's see, now the year is 1993 and at the very end of the previous year obviously I turned 21, so now I'm officially legal, so to speak. And the interesting story behind that is, okay, I was raised in a very European household. I'm first generation American. My mom was born in Germany, and as it turns out my dad was actually born in Warsaw, Poland, so I'm actually first generation on both sides. And I was raised by my German grandmother on my mother's side. And in Germany, they don't have the same taboos about alcohol that folks do in the US. And so when I was a small child, I would get a little bit of brandy with water for tummy aches. At holidays, I would get like a little sip of champagne or wine or whatever we were having at the time. And as I got older, you know, the little sip became a little bit more and stuff, but there was never any restriction in my household in terms of alcohol consumption. Now, yes, I did say that my mother was an alcoholic, and there was definitely inherently problems around that. And I was very often afraid that I would turn out to be that way, which thankfully I have not. However, I did enjoy drinking a glass of something here, a glass of something there. Never to any excess, and certainly never to the point of drunkenness or passing out or anything of that nature. I've never had a binge drinking episode or anything like that. And I think a big part of that was because there was no taboo in my household, so the temptation for me wasn't there. And I strongly believe that alcoholism, it's a disease. It is a possibly a mental condition. I believe that my mother was probably bipolar, and it's possible she was using alcohol as a self-medication. I thankfully do not have any of those issues, and so alcoholism has just not manifested in me. Thank goodness. However, like I said, being able to have a drink here or there was always allowed in my house. And what was funny is, after my grandmother and I got a place of our own, where my mom got her own place and my grandmother and I got our own apartment, my grandmother and I would hang out quite a bit. She was my best friend. She really was. And we went and transitioned at this point from being just a parent-child role into more of a roommate, best friend role. Which was really kind of cool. She would tell me stories of things that happened to her as she was growing up in Germany. And, oh, by the way, if anyone's interested at all in my grandmother's stories, I will put a link below to my Tumblr. There I have been recounting some of the stories that my grandmother told me on my Tumblr blog. So if you're interested, go ahead and go visit that. But anyway, so my grandmother and I hung out a lot. We used to go out to the malls in the suburbs quite a bit, and we'd go out for lunch, and I often would order a glass of wine or something, usually white Zinfandel, because in those days I kind of liked it because it was sweet and tasted like a fancy soda more than anything else. And I never got carded, not once. I mean, people wouldn't even look at me twice. I was there with my grandmother. My grandmother looked really good for her age, but you could tell that she was senior. And I always wondered if people just thought I was older because of the person I was with. I don't know. However, the funny thing is, after I turned 21, I mean, almost to the day, all of a sudden I started getting carded. Very first time I went out with my grandmother and had a drink after I turned 21, the very first thing they said is, "Oh, do you have an ID on you?" I'd never had anyone ask me for my ID before that. It was almost like they knew I had turned 21 and they needed to start asking me. I honestly don't know how this happened. I know that the restaurants probably could have gotten in a lot of trouble for it, and I certainly wouldn't have wanted that to happen. It just didn't even occur to me not to order, or that, oh, I shouldn't be ordering, or anything. I was always allowed to have it at home, and my grandmother certainly didn't have a problem with me having it when we were out, and the restaurants didn't, bother asking me until I turned 21. So when I was 17, 18, 19, 20, I was having a glass of wine with my lunch when we went out once in a while. So anyway, so that was the funny thing that happened to me back in 1993, was the fact that I didn't get carded until I turned 21, which I found so hilarious. Other than that, all I did was go to school and work, and that was it. Didn't have time to party, didn't have time to do anything else. So just, go out to the mall with my grandmother once in a while, and that was pretty much my life that year. So until tomorrow, bye.